Allied tank crews in World War II had plenty to worry about, but nothing sent a chill down their spine like the German 88. It could punch through armor from distances most guns couldn't even dream of. One hit, and a tank could go up in flames before the crew knew what happened. Allied tankers adapted, fought back, and found ways to survive. So how did they stay alive when the most feared gun on the battlefield had them in its sights? The German 88 was not just one gun. It was a whole family of weapons that evolved into the most feared artillery piece of World War II. Officially, it began with the 8.8-centimeter Flak 18, designed as a Flugabwehrkanone, meaning aircraft defense cannon. Its original job was simple: shoot down enemy planes. But the moment it entered the battlefield, German crews realized they had something far more powerful on their hands. The 88 fired high-velocity shells with such accuracy and force that it quickly became useful against almost anything: tanks, vehicles, bunkers, even infantry formations. As the war escalated, improved versions followed: the Flak 36 and Flak 37. These upgrades weren't cosmetic. They made the gun faster to set up, easier to maintain, and deadlier at long range. The Flak 37 was especially known for its advanced sights and fire control systems, often paired with the Kommandogerät fire control computer or the Würzburg radar, allowing German gunners to hit aircraft with surprising precision. In an era before computerized targeting, this was a technological edge that mattered. One reason the 88 became so iconic is its versatility. Thanks to a clever carriage design, German crews could fire it even while it was still on its wheels, allowing for quick reaction shots. If they needed a full firing position, they could completely emplace the gun in just 2.5 minutes, faster than many Allied crews expected. This meant an 88 could appear, shoot, and relocate before its location was even properly spotted. Its reputation as an anti-tank weapon came almost by accident. During early desert battles, German commanders aimed their anti-aircraft 88s at advancing tanks, and the results were devastating. It became the main weapon of the legendary Tiger I, turning it into one of the most feared tanks of the war. As the conflict dragged on, companies like Rheinmetall pushed the 88 even further with the Flak 41, an upgraded anti-aircraft version. At the same time, Krupp developed long-barreled anti-tank variants such as the PK-43 and the turret-mounted KWK-43 used on tank destroyers like the Elephant and Jagdpanther, and on the Tiger II heavy tank. In the end, the 88 became more than a gun. It became a symbol of German engineering, battlefield adaptability, and the harsh learning curve Allied crews had to overcome. The production and development history of the German 88 is basically the story of Germany quietly rebuilding its military power long before World War II officially began. Its roots trace back to the late 1920s, when Krupp engineers started working on a high-velocity anti-aircraft gun that could counter the new generation of fast, high-flying bombers. By 1928, the first designs were taking shape, and by 1933, just as the Nazi regime came to power, the early models were already rolling out of factories. The gun that started it all, the Flak 18, was simple, rugged, and more advanced than anything the Allies had at the time. But the real magic of the 88 came from Germany's obsession with refinement. As soon as the Flak 18 entered service, crews and engineers found small flaws, maintenance issues, and performance limits. Instead of accepting them, they redesigned everything. The result was the Flak 36, a model that introduced a new, stronger carriage, faster setup, better mobility, and interchangeable barrel sections that made field repairs much easier. This model became the workhorse. Thousands were produced, and it appeared on every major front, from North Africa to the beaches of Normandy. Then came the Flak 37, which didn't change the gun's power but improved its fire control system. With new instruments and better data transmission, the 37 could be connected to Germany's sophisticated radar networks and command devices. It became one of the most accurate anti-aircraft systems of the entire war, able to hit targets thousands of feet in the sky with surprising consistency. As the war intensified and Allied armor grew thicker, Germany needed something even more powerful. Rheinmetall answered with the Flak 41, which fired a much faster round and had far greater penetration. But it came with a problem. The gun was incredibly complex and difficult to produce on a large scale. In a war where factories were being bombed and raw materials were shrinking, mass production was nearly impossible. Only a few hundred were ever built. Krupp pushed one more step forward by turning the 88 into a dedicated anti-tank and tank destroyer weapon. This led to the legendary PK-43, mounted on vehicles like the Elephant and Jagdpanther, and the KWK-43, the terrifying long-barreled gun carried by the Tiger II. These weapons could punch through almost any Allied tank from extreme distances, proving how far the original 88 design had evolved. By the end of the war, Germany had built more than 21,000 88s across all versions. Each generation reflected new battlefield needs, new engineering solutions, and the constant push to stay ahead of Allied firepower. Its evolution was a mix of innovation, desperation, and brutal efficiency. One reason the 88 remains one of the most feared and respected guns ever created. The use of the German 88 on the battlefield is the story of a weapon that kept proving itself in every new battlefield it touched. It first earned its reputation during the Spanish Civil War, where German forces supporting Franco used the early Flak 18 to protect their aircraft and supply routes. It was originally deployed as an anti-aircraft gun, but its high velocity and accuracy quickly showed the world that it could do far more than just shoot at planes. Even in Spain, crews noticed that the 88 could cut through armor and fortifications in a way that no other gun of its type could. By the time World War II began, the 88 had already matured into a battlefield problem for anyone facing it. In the early stages of the war, especially during the campaigns in Poland and France, its anti-tank potential became impossible to ignore. When German panzers ran into heavy Allied tanks or fortified positions, they called in the 88s. The gun's ability to fire at long range with incredible penetration turned it into the weapon that German ground forces trusted when they needed something destroyed immediately. Its greatest early showcase came in the North African desert. During the battles against the British, German crews learned that they could hide the gun behind dunes or camouflaged positions and ambush advancing armor. Even heavily armored British Matildas fell to the 88 in moments, earning the gun a reputation for being almost unstoppable. As the war expanded, the 88 became even more important on both the eastern and western fronts. On the vast plains of the Soviet Union, its range was a huge advantage. German units used it to knock out Soviet tanks long before they could get close enough to fight back. The open terrain made it easy for 88 crews to set up kill zones, and the gun became one of the few weapons capable of dealing with the stronger Soviet designs that appeared later in the war. It was also widely used in defensive roles, hitting infantry, vehicles, and even low-flying aircraft with equal effectiveness. The Allies encountered the 88 everywhere they went. In Italy, it was dug into hillsides and used to block every advance. In Normandy, it was hidden behind hedgerows and used as a deadly trap against Allied armor pushing inland from the beaches. The gun's versatility allowed German troops to use it in anti-aircraft batteries one moment and anti-tank ambushes the next. As the air war intensified, the 88's original purpose came back into focus. It was heavily used in air defense networks to protect cities, factories, and supply depots from Allied bombing raids. Radar-guided fire control systems and the gun's high ceiling made it one of the most effective anti-aircraft weapons available to Germany. Even after the war ended, the 88 did not disappear. It showed up again during the Vietnam War in the hands of forces that had acquired leftover stocks. Its long service life across multiple continents proves just how reliable and adaptable the design was. From Spain to Africa, from Russia to Vietnam, the 88 left a mark on every battlefield it touched, becoming one of the most feared and respected guns in military history. Allied troops quickly understood that charging straight into the sights of an 88 was almost guaranteed death. So they adapted fast, creatively, and with every tool they had. One of their first solutions was preemptive fire. Before tanks even rolled forward, Allied artillery shelled suspected 88 positions to suppress the crews or force them to relocate. The idea was simple. Keep the gunners' heads down long enough for armor to move. Air power became another essential answer. Fighter bombers like the P-47 Thunderbolt and the Hawker Typhoon were routinely called in to rocket, bomb, or strafe 88 positions. A successful airstrike didn't just destroy the gun, it shattered the confidence of the crew and cleared the way for advancing infantry and tanks. Allies also leaned heavily on smoke screens. Whether fired from artillery or deployed by tanks, smoke robbed the 88 of its biggest strength, long-range visibility. With the gun blinded, Allied units could cross open ground, maneuver into safer positions, or bypass the gun entirely. As the war progressed, the Allies refined how they fought by switching to combined arms tactics. Instead of tanks advancing alone, infantry, engineers, recon units, and artillery all moved together. This let them flank, overwhelm, or isolate 88 emplacements rather than face them head-on. Finally, the Allies introduced stronger anti-tank weapons, like the British 17-pounder, mounted on the Sherman Firefly. These new guns let Allied tankers fight from longer distances and challenge the German guns on more equal footing. In the end, it wasn't one single tactic that countered the 88. It was a full evolution of strategy, technology, and teamwork. Through coordinated firepower, maneuver, and smarter battlefield planning, the Allies slowly turned the feared 88 from an untouchable killer into a threat they could break, blind, or outfight. At first glance, the 88's individual features, high muzzle velocity, mobility, and good optics, weren't wildly far ahead of what the Allies already had. In fact, many of their heavy flak guns matched those specs. The real edge came from how the Germans used the 88. Long before others saw its potential, the German Army and Luftwaffe flak crews treated these anti-aircraft guns as multi-role weapons, ready to strike planes, tanks, or infantry as needed. That mindset made all the difference. Anti-aircraft crews were trained to track fast-moving aerial targets and react quickly under pressure. These skills translated seamlessly to hitting tanks and vehicles. By designing the 88 with the ability to depress its barrel, traverse fully, and use specialized armor-piercing rounds, not just anti-air ammo, the Germans essentially created one of the first true dual-purpose guns. What some armies treated only as skywatchers, Germany treated as all-terrain killers. Beyond hardware, flak crews were drilled to think tactically across air, ground, and anti-personnel roles. They learned to work with infantry, armor, and reconnaissance units for maximum battlefield impact. That's why a handful of 88 batteries could decimate armored formations where much larger Allied forces were present, like during North Africa's Operation Battle Axe in mid-1941. There, a single mixed flak battalion with just 12 88s destroyed dozens of Allied tanks, even though the Allies outnumbered them in AA guns. Ultimately, the 88's success wasn't because it was a perfect machine. It was because Germany used it as a perfect weapon system. The story of the 88 shows that success in battle isn't just about having powerful weapons. It's about using them smarter than anyone else. The Germans turned a simple anti-aircraft gun into a tank killer, proving that strategy, training, and adaptability often outweigh numbers or technology. If you found this breakdown interesting, Hit like, share it with history buffs, and subscribe for more insights into the weapons and tactics that shaped World War II. Don't miss the next story.